Hi everyone, my name is Anne. Thanks for joining me on Art on the Creek. Merry Christmas. We are in my home studio here in Parker, Colorado, and Viviva has asked me to make this video for you, so I'm very delighted that you've tuned in today. I hope that you are surrounded by people you love and who love you in return, and that your holiday season is going very well. I wish you all the best in 2024. Many of you know I have had a partnership with Viviva since the summer, and starting around World Watercolor Month in July through December, this partnership has been just a pure delight, and I hope that many of you have taken advantage of the coupon. I will put the link to the coupon. I've got an affiliate link and an affiliate coupon that you can use that will save you some money. Working with Viviva has been nothing short of pure delight. They are a wonderful company. They're a small business out of India, and it's a family business. I can't say enough good things about them. But I do have some things to show you that I haven't shown you yet on this channel. They are new to me and available for you in the Viviva store. So if you are interested, this might be something fun for a New Year's Eve party with your friends. Or maybe you've made a resolution to learn to paint in 2024. So maybe you're just getting on the bandwagon a little bit early. I've got some really fun things to show you. And I will also link to my entire Viviva playlist so that you can see some more of their featured products. Are you ready to go? Let's go see what Santa has in store for us today with Viviva. Before we continue though, please subscribe to Art on the Creek if you haven't done so already by clicking on that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell too so that you'll always know when I launch a new tutorial or a product review. Of course, if you do enjoy content like this, make sure that you give it a like, leave a comment, or share it with your friends. If you'd really like to take your art skills to the next level, I would encourage you to consider a membership with Art on the Creek. When you're a member or patron of my channel, your membership includes an extensive library of tutorials covering drawings and paintings of a variety of subjects, not just beautiful Colorado, and also in many different art media. You'll have full and unlimited access to an ever-growing members library of tutorials and reviews, as well as the opportunity to receive guided feedback and critique from me. And also, you'll have direct input into which art technique or medium you'd like to learn more about as a member, as well as access to free art supplies. All of that and more is included in your membership, and it's all very conveniently right here on YouTube. There's a link in the description below that will go over all the membership details. But if you still have any questions, just ask me in the comments and I'll be sure to help you out. Now, let's move on to today's subject, shall we? Well, just in case this is your first time watching, or maybe it's not your first time watching and you'd like a little bit of a review, I want to go over some of the Viviva products I've already covered, and I will put a playlist up in the corner here so that you can pick and choose and watch whatever you'd like to from that playlist. The Viviva color sheets are these. They are little folios. These two here in my left hand are the original issue of the original colors, and what they are is they're these little squares. You can see if I can lift one up there for you. There you go. You can kind of see how it's glued on there. So it's a family business in India, and what they do is they take the material and spread it all on these papers, and then they let it sun dry and they cut it. They mount it in these folios, and they're so portable. They're sewn down the middle, so it's very easy to flip through it, and that little piece of cloudy looking material in between is kind of a resistant paper that will let you close them while they're still wet. So if you're painting on plein air and you have to leave, go back to work suddenly, you can do that. Now that other one with the black Viviva Colors logo is the new issue, and this one here is the fall colors set, and I have another video particularly on this one, and I'll put a link up to that one in the corner in case you're interested in this particular palette. It's really fun. Can you see how that peacock blue is just iridescent looking? Well, it's not in reality. So I highly recommend that if you do go with these color sheets, you need to swatch them out first to really see what kind of color you're getting. The pigment load is astounding. You can get about 30 paintings done per folio. So I have had these for years, the ones starting with the first ones I showed you, and I don't know when I will be using them up. They are thoroughly enjoyable and a lot of fun to have. Now, since they're dye-based, they're not light fast, so do remember that. In this art travel kit, I have the A6 size, the smaller size, and what it comes with is everything you see here with the color sheets. I'll talk about those pan paints that I pulled out in just a little bit. But this is the A6 size. It has this nice little elastic where you can keep it closed, very simple to use. And I like the vegan leather that they use on everything. This is vegan leather also. So we're going to just open it up, and it's A6, as you can see, nice small size. I love the, to me it's called a reporter style notebook here, that the little spiral on the top. It's just so easy to work through, and I did work through it in World Watercolor Month this year. The fine liner that comes with it is my favorite brand. It's Kuretake Zig. It's a Mangaka 0.05 liner. Beautiful liner. They work well every single time. The water brush is quite nice. It's very easy to load. It has this nice wide opening here in the barrel. You just stick that under the tap, or you can immerse it in your tub of water that you're using to rinse your brushes. So there is the water brush. Oh, also that cap on the water brush will post. It'll click back on the back end of the water brush for you, so you won't lose it if you're like me. I have to have lids that go on the back of the pen. So these are the things that come with. This is the pan watercolor set. Now I happen to have the spring set, and I'll put a link to everything down below. Affiliate links, I've got a coupon for you, as well as I've got some information on lightfastness that I'll put there for you. Now, when this comes, this swatch sheet is one that I made on my own, because this coated material here is what the swatch sheet came with, and it's designed to wipe off. So I'll get to that in just one second, but this flap folds over here. It's in a cork case, and then it goes back in the sleeve, so very portable, very easy to carry. And all of these little pans, you can mix them over here on this coated material and then just wipe it off to clean it and get ready to go. So the great thing about that is that it wipes right off, but for a swatch sheet, it's not great because it wipes right off. So I went ahead and I made my own out of just regular watercolor paper. Now the first sketchbook that I want to talk to you guys about is this one. This is an A5 size, and it is cotton. It's handmade cotton paper. You get 40 pages or 20 sheets, so you can use front and back. It does have this really cool binding lift mechanism, hinge, whatever you want to call it, in there, that enables you to keep things open, and it keeps it moving a little bit better. So that hinge is helpful in getting this to lay flat. So that's intentional. It's not a misbinding. Here is what the color sheets look like on this. There's a fish, and here's a multimedia piece I did on pumpkin. These are some regular watercolors that I did on it. I really like the texture of this paper. It's such a nice change to have cream paper instead of a white or bright white. It does have a texture to it, so when it's cold pressed, you can kind of see the linear grain to it, but it also looks like orange peel a little bit. You can definitely see the cream tone there. That's next to a white sheet of watercolor paper. But that linear pattern, it won't affect your painting. You can see it, but it won't affect your painting in a negative way at all. You can kind of see it here on camera if you want to pause the screen and take a peek. It's a very nice texture, and because the paper is handmade, it does have a little bit of flex in it. So that's not a flaw, that's to be expected. Now this paper is 300 GSM, 140 pounds. It is cold pressed, fine grain, and acid free. These make lovely gifts. I've really enjoyed using this sketchbook, and I'll continue to use it because as handmade sketchbooks go, this one's my favorite. I really have found that handmade sketchbooks just kind of are hit and miss, and this one I really like. So moving on to this package here. This is what I most recently received from Viviva, and it only had to arrive to me from Pennsylvania, so I wanted you to see how things comes packaged if you order from this company. At least this is how it came to me in Colorado. So what we have here today that we're going to play with are the metallic watercolors in the pan, and I'm very excited about these. They've got a nice color range there. And also the metallic color sheets. So for the holidays, for New Year's, these will be a whole lot of fun. Also for Valentine's Day coming up. Now this sketchbook, this one is a little bit different. It's ivory, and it is also an A5 landscape, and it's made with Lesebo Design paper, which is out of Sweden. It is 100% wood-free, chlorine-free pulp. I have found it to be very interesting paper to work with. And I will get into that more as we go on here, but let's just open it up and compare. They really do look the same. Both of them are covered in vegan leather. The one on the right is the handmade cotton, and it is a little bit thinner. It does have fewer sheets of paper in it. The new one that I'm going to work with today, the hot press paper, is 240 GSM, 120 pound, And the Lacebo design paper, like I said, is out of Sweden. It's acid-free and it's made from wood-free, chlorine-free pulp. It is great for certain things. Not my favorite for watercolor, but I do like this sketchbook and I will continue to use it. So let's open it up and check it out. This facing page here, I ended up putting a gouache painting on that, but I'll show you that here in just a little bit. But the inside, the pages are really, really nice. They're very thick, very smooth texture. And yes, this is hot press. The sizing on this, it's minimally sized, if that. I mean, it's really, it doesn't fray up or anything like that. It will cooperate with what you're trying to do. But watercolor, it's not the easiest thing in the world to watercolor on. I do like that there's the pocket in back, and there's also a pocket in back on the other sketchbook. They, you know, assembly-wise, these are identical. They stay open, but not really well. I think that you're going to need some binder clips if you want to use it to stay open, but you can see the difference in the colors. The handmade paper is still a little bit darker, more of a cream texture, and then the hot press, the one on top there, is kind of an off-white. It's not a bright white, but it is a natural white, I would say. It's good paper. I like it. I would buy it and use it again. And after the experiments that I've done here, I did figure out what it was best used for. So let's take a look at what we've got here paint-wise. So the metallic pan paints, they're the first thing I wanted us to look at today. They come packaged very similarly to the pan watercolors, in a sleeve and then in a box. They are vegan, very portable, obviously. They've got a great size. They're transparent and metallic and long-lasting. So far, I'm very pleased. In the experiments that I've done, I have no complaints, no issues. They've got a place here, again, to put your name and your Instagram handle in case that's something that you'd like to do. And that flap that opens up has the same texture on it. You can see that the chips of paint themselves, you do get a pretty good thick paint in there, and they're very, very nice. The colors do swatch out pretty true to the way they look here, but we will go ahead and swatch that out. Once again, inside the box, they do include that swatch sheet, but it is made from that coated paper again. So once again, unfortunately, I won't be using this, but it is a good source to refer to the color names. So let me set up a swatch sheet on watercolor paper, and we'll get going with that. One thing I will definitely tell you for sure, when you're working with any kind of iridescent, pearlescent, or metallic paints that are like this in the pan form, definitely prep them ahead of time. Definitely give them a shot with water. Put either a little drop of water on there or spray them really well with a sprayer, because they really do need to just kind of sit for a minute and get ready for you. You really need to prep them. The color range in this is really nice. The paper that I'm using is 100% cotton by Rembrandt. It's a rough press, which was lucky that this was the one that was sitting next to me, because let me tell you, these are astounding on rough press paper. And the cotton is just lovely, of course, but I'm going to just put a picture up here. Let me zoom through the swatching here, and then I'll put a picture up, because these have sat for a couple of days, and not only are they kind of metallic with a sheen, but you can see little sparkles of glitter. So let me just put that in here as well. Here's a little clip I just took, and I've got this at half speed here so that you can really see not only the sheen, but the little sparkles of glitter. I really hope they're showing up on camera, because these are truly astounding. It's kind of like you're not getting a glitter watercolor, you're not getting a pearlescent watercolor, you're getting a combination of both. For all of the metallic watercolors that I've tried like this, these are really, really nice. The only thing that I would say is I wish that the gold had a little bit more oomph to it. But other than that, going left to right, top to bottom, here are the colors. We have metallic light green, yellow topaz, orange sapphire, pink pearl, udaiolite, amethyst, aquamarine, sapphire, green sapphire, rust, brown quartz, metallic gray, silver, gold, and pearl black. The brush that I'm using is, looks like a Princeton Neptune. Yes, it's a Princeton Neptune round number 2. And, worked beautifully. But I will tell you, on rough watercolor paper, these are amazing. I was truly blown away. I mean, the amount of sheen and sparkle that they deliver is truly equal to my favorite fine tech professional brand. So I was very pleased with these. So pleased, in fact, that I want to show you what they look like on black watercolor paper. Actually, this isn't watercolor paper, it's a sketchbook. But let me zip through this and you can see how this sheen works. And I will also interject with another slow-mo of it so that you can see the beautiful glitter that results in the end. And here once again, I hope that you can really pick up this beautiful glittery effect that's in there. You can really see it on the black, I think. That's the bottom right one there. But it also picks up in the gold and the silver, in all of those rust and bronze and gray tones, and in the pinks particularly well. In person, it does show up on all of them, but on camera, I'm not sure if you can really see everything that's going on there. This sketchbook, in case you're curious, is a Nova and Burn, Stillman and Burn Nova Trio sketchbook, and I've just been really pleased with it for all sorts of things. As you can see, it works with colored pencil there, as well as these metallic paints. Let's take a look at these color sheets that are metallic. Now this set includes 10 colors. They do give you extra. They give you 2 golds and 2 silver, and when we get to it, I'll tell you why that's such a good idea, because you do kind of go through those a little more quickly than the others, but I'll explain that when we get to that. The packaging includes this belly band to keep it together so that nothing will get damaged while it's in the package being shipped around or handled. And I really like that because it's got a nice sweet little message on there showing you that indeed this is definitely a small business handmade company. The product itself is vibrant, as I said, and that's very true. They're very portable, up to 30 paintings, just like I was explaining, and vegan friendly and handmade. So these are just like the others, really. The only difference is that they are transparent metallics. So let's take a look at it. When we open it up, we can see the same sorts of information with your room for your name and your Instagram handle in case you lose it. And then the little patches of paint that are in here. But you can see this little material that's in between. And that again is so that you can close it and have your wet little pads of paint there, and they won't stick to one another. So that really does help. So the colors are really lovely. They look very satiny. They all have a nice sheen to them. I really love the look at that jade. Isn't that pretty? And then let's go on and look at the Aurora and the Sapphire. I like the color names too. That's kind of fun. And then here you have the 2 silvers. And then finally at the end you have 2 golds. And then the last couple of pages, we've just got a little bit of extra. You can use it for mixing space. It says this page is intentionally left blank, but it does have that coating on it. So you can definitely use that to mix. And then you have this palette out here that is also coated, although it feels a little bit different, but it is coated. You could definitely mix on that and then wipe it off when you're done, fold it up, and you're good to go. So let me show you how this sampling works on here. They give you this space here to make a swatch. Now, for those of you who would like to do something in this small scale, this is great. For me, I like to make my swatches a little bit bigger, much like the one there on the black paper. But for this purpose here, I'm just going to use this to swatch these out so that you can see how they look. First, we have the ruby red, then the pink pearl, and it's a little bit different than the pan watercolor pink pearl. This one has a kind of a deeper tone to it. It's a little more coral. I really like it. And I'm glad that they put the ruby red in there because there isn't one in the pan watercolors. Now these are sold separately. They're not meant to be a set together. The fire, and let's just test that one right here. There we go. Lovely, lovely gold tone to that one. And now we'll test the lava. Now you would think it would be kind of gold looking just by looking at that the patch of paint there, but look how much red is in that. That's a very warm red. And as I'm doing this voiceover, I'm looking at these. They also have the glittery, shimmery quality that the other watercolors do after they've sat there for a while. Because it's been a few days since I did this video, and now I'm doing the voiceover, so I can tell you that the colors do retain that glittery effect. The jade surprises me. I expected it to be a much cooler green, but it's that light green, and then the emerald is a very cool green, but once again, the emerald swatch itself that they give you of the paint looks a little more like olive. So these are really kind of a mind bender. So you really do have to swatch them out to see what you're getting. So we'll enjoy this process here. The Aurora and the Sapphire actually turned out to be kind of similar, and I'm looking forward to being able to paint with those in more detail because these two swatches really do look almost identical. I know that there's got to be more difference to them, but the way that they swatched out here, they really do look quite the same. This silver is very, very nice. It's a very bright, very white silver. It's not like an antique silver. It would be lovely as dusting of snow or bird feathers, anything like that. It's a really lovely silver, and I really do like it. Now, I'm just going to test both of them to make sure they're the same. I don't know why they would be different, but they are the same. Moving down to the gold here now. Now, the gold is really quite nice. It looks very luxurious on these little swatch pads here, on the little pads of paint. However, when you paint it out, it's a little more transparent than I like my gold to be. But you know what? Once again, as I always say, once you realize what features your art supplies have, then you can use those to your advantage. So if I wanted something with a little more opaque gold, I would choose a different paint. But to have a beautiful translucent effect, these would definitely fit the bill. So let's see what we can come up with. This portion is going to be sped up because I just want you to see kind of how I'm laying this out to test. I had this ornament when I was a child. It was in the 60s, and it was really kind of cool. It had this satiny thread wrapped around these styrofoam shapes, and on each shape had some golden beads. And then I also had this one that had crossed candy canes, and it was kind of a blown glass, I guess is what it is, that I think they're glass. And you know, it's shaped into a mold, and the candy canes were crossed with a little bow on it. And then I thought I would just add kind of a little bauble up there. So I'm using a silver black velvet round number 8 here to paint this out so that you can kind of see how these paints act on the paper. Right away, you can kind of see how the paint just sits there. Let me slow that down so you can really see it. So we're switching over to half speed here, and you can see when the paint is pulled and manipulated on the paper, you can see how it leaves little puddles at the end of the brush, and it also just wants to kind of stay in one place. It doesn't really have any desire to move anywhere, and that can be frustrating if you've never experienced this. I think you'll really be able to see it here on this blue when we get to painting. I'm kind of working on the candy canes at the same time here, but you can really see how this paint just doesn't want to move. It just kind of wants to stay right where it rolls off the brush. So that is a characteristic that we need to either embrace or work around. Let me zoom to the end of this, and I will show you how I embraced it for this particular painting. So once again, we're greatly sped up here. But you can see what I did is it does allow you to do wet and wet techniques, all those things, all those kinds of things, except for it just doesn't want to play with each other on the paper. And that's something that I don't have a problem with because I knew that this would happen. Now on hot press paper, cotton paper, the paint is still going to act a little bit more like watercolor. Here it just acts like it's sitting right on top. It's not going in at all. It's not embracing its home. So it is an entirely different experience. And because of that, you know, I went ahead and I finished the painting. Look at that metallic though. That is just really so fun. And I was having so much fun with this that I decided, well, I'll go ahead and I'll mix in some of these pan watercolors. And here you can really see the effect too of how that watercolor just kind of sits there. Once again, that's not a fault of the paper. That's a characteristic of this kind of paper. I just wanted to show you this because in case you're thinking that you want to get this sketchbook for watercolor, you might want to think again. It's not the best for watercolor. It really is great for other things though. And here's one example of that. Now these are the regular color sheets, the dye-based watercolors, and I just want to show you what the black does. This black, when you add water to it, when it's still wet, it flows down, becomes very inky. And that is the key to all of this, is think about inks. Think about things that you can use with dyes or inks, or maybe aqueous watercolors if you have some of those. I don't, perchance, I don't have any, but I think that if you're using anything that is a water-based ink source or some kind of dye source that you can manipulate with water, then this sketchbook can really be great for you. Now I will touch more on the inks here in just a moment, but let me show you what happens with colored pencil. This is just a little drawing I did of 3 balls, and I used those luminance pencils there that are in my hand. I blended it with Gamsol, and you can see it kind of soaked through to the back a little bit, but it didn't affect the next page. And now that I'm doing the voiceover, like I said, a few days have passed, the back side of this particular painting is not affected at all. I was able to paint on top of that and have no trouble whatsoever. So it's really good, sturdy paper. So in the interest of really giving this a fair test, I thought, okay, let's try the pan watercolors on this paper over here. You can see that the blue, see how it's just kind of sitting there? I don't really know another way to explain it. It really does just sit on top of the paper. No matter how I tap my brush or manipulate it, I cannot get the paint to create a smooth wash. So that being said, if you work in watercolor and only watercolor, get the cotton sketchbook instead of this one. I would definitely recommend that handmade cotton sketchbook. It's fun, it's different. It really allows you for a new texture, a new tone for your paper. Now, do you see on that red ball there where it's kind of white underneath it and the paint wouldn't go? That's where the Gamsol kind of escaped the boundary of that red ball, and of course the watercolor won't paint on an oil-based surface. So once again, I'm just doing these really quick here just to test more doodles because there's absolutely no Gamsol on this page. So let's just do a very quick pear, and we'll also do a little apple here. And once again, I think you'll be able to see how this paint acts on this paper. Now, this would be true of any watercolor that you use on this paper, not just this particular one. One thing that certainly remains true is the lovely vibrancy of these paints. I really like this little paint set. So if you're looking for a nice travel watercolor pan paint set, I recommend this one. It's very lovely to work with. I was having so much fun with this sketchbook, though, that I wanted to throw more things at it. And this is where I discovered where it really shines, is with ink. This is just a regular fountain pen. It has an ink cartridge in there, a water-soluble ink cartridge, and this is my everyday pen. I just drew a little balloon and then took a wet brush to it, and look at how the ink acts when you paint with it. You can do this with any kind of ink. It doesn't have to be fountain pen ink, and this one, it's so funny because these inks are very affordable. There's nothing fancy about them, and they have such dimensionality to them when you get them wet. So, you know, if you have a fountain pen and it's not water-soluble ink, play with it a little bit. You might have a lot of fun discovering the different dimensions in your ink. Look at how that blue comes out of the purple there. Isn't that fun? And then, of course, with every subsequent wash, you can really pull it out and continue to get some more dimensions. And I really like how as soon as it adheres to the paper, it'll stay. So there is some of your lines you won't be able to get rid of, but in general, the ink really becomes a nice velvety surface for you. Okay, Cinema Verite is over for a while. I promise I won't make you seasick for this portion. I ran across this photo on Unsplash where these bears were really kind of wrestling and going at it, but I thought, you know, if they were separated, their arms are outstretched just in the perfect positions for one to be handing the other one a Christmas present. So I just want to show you how simple it is to use this particular journal with inks. It was truly delightful. So you can see I've got my Winsor Newton Pro marker and my Faber-Castell watercolor markers out. And you don't have to use professional water-based markers to do this either. You could use any brand at all. You could use Tombow. You could use the Caron Pro markers. You could use your kids' Crayola markers from their backpack. Anything that you have that's a water-based marker will do this. It will work and it will be beautiful. Now you'll see that little gray Faber-Castell marker sitting up there. I had huge faith in that marker, and I know that it is supposed to be the color that is on the cap, a very pale gray. And that is what I went into this artwork thinking, that was still, in fact, the color of this marker. But I must have had it stored a little bit at an angle because too much of the pigment ended up on one side and it comes out a very deep charcoal gray. But, you know, we'll get around that. But you can see how beautifully these blend. I'm going back and forth from brand to brand, really enjoying myself here and just loving it until this moment. Oh, look how dark that is. Oh no, what am I going to do with my polar bear? Oh, I'll fix him. I'll get it to work. And the thing with the markers, though, and the dye-based pigments in this paper, it's not very forgiving in that you really can't lift things off. So for that reason, I'm going to now use a ceramic palette and blend my colors, mix them ahead of time, and then just pick them up with a paintbrush from there. And it works beautifully. I think that once you understand what your art supplies can do, then there is no bad art supply or insufficient or lacking. You just need to understand which one is right for which purpose. And I wanted to test this book because I do use hot press paper from time to time. And I wanted to make sure that it was okay for watercolors. And I found that it is okay. It's better with other things, much better, in fact, with inks. And you know what? The Colorsheets actually work on it quite well also. So let's wrap this up and let's take a moment to look at my grand conclusions for all of these wonderful art supplies. Well, I've had a lot of time to play with these, the Viviva Colorsheets that are metallic and the metallic pan watercolors. I can tell you these rival my favorites. These are wonderful. Highly recommend them. They are just like the Paul Rubens metallics or the Fine Tech. I really like these. So these I really like. These color sheets are a lot of fun, the metallic ones. With this set, you'll have all of the conveniences that you have with every other folio of color sheets. You have the papers in between that allow you to close it when it's wet, and a good color selection. Now, just on these tiny little swatches right here, I don't think the camera is going to really pick up the iridescence or mica glitter tone to the little swatch that I did. But when I use them on the paintings, I could definitely tell that they are beautifully metallic. The gold and silver, it's a good thing they give you 2 of each, because you can see I did go all the way through to the paper there, and I just used it on a couple of paintings. Same with the gold. So it is good that you get a couple of those. These 2 are by far my favorite, the ruby red and the pink pearl. Lots of great shimmer in those. Actually, the fire and the lava have a nice copper shimmer. And then, of course, the green shimmer does show up in these. It doesn't really show up on this paper here, but it does on the regular paper. It works really well. So as a set and as a palette of the colors that you're getting, I think this is a really nice little stocking stuffer right here. Now let's talk about this guy. This is the Hot Press sketchbook. This is an A5 size. It's not 100% cotton. So I have played with this, and first of all, let me show you what the shimmer watercolors do on it. They shine a lot. This is a mix of the pans and the color sheets, so just beautiful, and I really like them. The paint just kind of sits on top. It's not, someone's car alarm is going off. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It just kind of sits on top. The paper feels like it's not sized very much at all. Let's see, what else can I show you in here? I decided to try some colored pencil on it, and that worked very, very well. And then I put some of the pan watercolors on there, and you can see how streaky they are. They don't normally do that on cotton paper. So I decided, okay, I will test the color sheets. So this is the regular color sheets. It worked very, very well on the paper. And I went around this with a Posca marker and then put Posca marker on here, and that I would give that, 5 out of 10. Acrylic marker is just so-so on here, but if you're using a thin line to outline, not this thick line, but a thin line, it works just fine. Let me see what else I've got in here to show you. Here is how the regular color sheets swatch out on it, because what I discovered is that ink works really well on this paper. So if you're an ink artist or you really like working with these color sheets, here's a little test I did with gouache. That works pretty well too. Somewhat streaky. It's Holbein gouache, and I found it to not perform as well on here as I have on some other papers, but I'll show you another gouache one I did. Now this one is just on the inside liner cover. Didn't have any trouble blending anything on here at all. The gouache actually performed a little bit better on here than it did on the sketchbook paper. I really think that this sketchbook is by far best for ink. Let me show you one other one. Here's how I discovered the ink. I was playing around with the watercolors, and I just didn't like how they sat on there, and then you just kind of push them around, more so than a regular hot press watercolor paper. So this is just my fountain pen. I drew a little balloon and then came in with water and drew a couple lines and washed it out with water. And you can get a nice even wash, and the texture of the paper is very subtle. So I thought, okay, inks will work really well on here. I tested several. This is an acrylic ink from an art kit that I had. And the acrylic inks work very, very well on here. Beautiful shimmer, nice soft velvety area. These are watercolor markers. They also work very well on here. If you'd like a tutorial on this one, I can do that very easily. I took a photo from Unsplash and kind of separated the bears. They were having a little tussle, but I decided in the spirit of the season, this would be a little more appropriate. And that marker, it worked very, very well. I mixed things in a palette, but the paper does not feel like it's sized very much. So I think, and nothing bleeds through. So it's a really good paper if you're looking to work in inks or colored pencil or even gouache. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this long. I had so much fun playing with this sketchbook and doing all these demonstrations for you, showing you all the different capacities of the paper that's involved here. It's a very interesting paper. So if you are a multimedia artist, then this sketchbook might be something that you would like to have on your shelf. Don't forget to check out that affiliate link down below, as well as apply that coupon that I've got for you down there during your checkout process so that you can save even more money. Look for a sale. Viviva often has some great sales. And these metallic paints, if you don't have any, these are a great place to start. They're a great set to add. I like the pan paints. The color sheets are wonderful. You guys, I hope everyone has a wonderful week into the new year and continues to enjoy the love and peace of this season. Take care, everybody. Bye now.